You spent hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars on the best ice fishing gear you could find. The sonar, the auger, the rods. But you completely overlooked the one thing that could be sending every fish in a 100-foot radius swimming for cover. And you're wearing it right now. Today, we're talking about your bright, colorful winter jacket. And we're going to answer the question, is your clothing the real reason you're going home empty-handed? I promise you, by the end of this, you'll look at your gear in a whole new way. Now, before we dive in, let me know in the comments right now. Do you think clothing color is a myth or the secret to success? For decades, there's been a battle between two camps of ice anglers. In one corner, you have the safety-first crowd. They say bright orange, yellow, or blue is non-negotiable. It makes you visible to snowmobiles, other anglers, and rescuers if the worst happens. They're not wrong. In the other corner, you have the old-timers and the stealth anglers. They swear by drab grays, whites, and camouflage. They'll tell you that a bright color on a vast white landscape is like a flashing neon sign that screams danger to anything living under the ice. For years, we've just picked a side. But what if they're both right? What if the real answer isn't about picking a side, but about understanding when it matters and when it doesn't? Let's start with the most obvious point, the argument for safety. On a busy lake with snowmobiles and ATVs ripping across the ice, being seen is critical. A bright-colored suit can absolutely save your life. Nobody can argue with that. It's the primary reason manufacturers make these suits in vibrant, high-visibility colors. So if you're fishing a popular high-traffic body of water, wearing something that stands out is just common sense. The question we need to ask isn't, should I be safe? But rather, does being safe cost me fish? Now think about the fish's point of view. A fish's entire life revolves around two things, eating and not being eaten. Their senses are tuned to detect threats from every angle, especially from above. Birds like herons, osprey, and eagles are their natural overhead predators. They've spent millennia learning that a sudden shadow or a large shape moving above them means death. They don't have the luxury of waiting around to see if it's a threat or not. Their first instinct is to flee. We have to remember we are invading their world from above. So how does your jacket fit into this? Let's set up a scenario. You're on a lake with early ice. It's black, clear as glass with no snow cover. You're wearing a brilliant yellow jacket. From below, you aren't just a shape. You are a massive, unnatural blob of color moving against the bright sky. The light from the sun shines through your jacket, creating a colored halo. To a fish, this isn't normal. It's an anomaly. And in nature, anomalies are almost always a threat. This is the absolute worst-case scenario for a brightly dressed angler. But now, let's change one thing in that scenario. Let's add 6 inches of fresh white snow on top of that ice. Suddenly, the entire game changes. That snow layer acts as a massive diffuser. It scatters the sunlight in every direction. It turns the world under the ice from a clear window to the sky into a soft, uniformly lit ceiling. Your bright yellow jacket is no longer a distinct, terrifying blob. It's just a faint, indistinct shadow at best, completely lost in the diffused light. In this situation, the color of your jacket becomes almost irrelevant. Let's dig into the science of it for a second. Light doesn't just pass through ice, it changes. Water and ice absorb different wavelengths of light at different rates. The longer wavelengths, like reds and oranges, get filtered out much faster. That's why deep water looks blue or green. The shorter wavelengths, like blue and green, penetrate the deepest. So if you're wearing a bright red or orange jacket, its color is going to be the first to disappear as you fish deeper water. A blue jacket, however, will retain its color signature much deeper. And what about the fish's eyes? Different species see color differently. Fish like trout and perch have excellent color vision. sometimes even better than ours, capable of seeing into the ultraviolet spectrum. They can absolutely distinguish your jacket from the sky. Walleye, on the other hand, are built for low-light conditions. Their eyes are packed with light-gathering rods, making them incredibly sensitive. A bright, jarring color moving above them on a sunny day could be overwhelming, causing them to retreat to deeper, darker water just to be comfortable, long before you even drop a line. Here's something most people forget. It's not just about the color, it's about contrast. On a bright sunny day with a blanket of white snow, a dark object creates a much sharper, more defined shadow than a light one. Think about it. A person in a black snowsuit will cast a stark black silhouette on the snow. Under the ice, this translates to a very distinct dark shape moving overhead. A person in an all-white suit, however, will blend in with the surroundings, creating a much softer, less noticeable shadow. Sometimes going dark is just as bad as going bright. The depth you're fishing is another massive factor. If you're sight fishing for panfish in 5 feet of clear water, you are a direct and obvious part of their world. Every move you make, every color you wear, is on full display. In this scenario, being as stealthy as possible is paramount. A muted jacket, kneeling down to reduce your profile and minimizing movement, can be the difference between a full bucket and nothing. Your presence is the single biggest variable. Now let's say you're fishing for lake trout or walleye in 40 feet of water. At that depth, the details are gone. The light is significantly reduced. The specific color of your jacket is completely lost. You are nothing more than a distant shadow, a subtle change in the light from far above. The noise of your auger or your footsteps on the ice will be a much bigger factor in spooking fish than the fact you chose a red coat instead of a gray one. In deep water, the color debate becomes almost purely academic. Let's not forget about the shanty. If you're fishing from inside a pop-up or a permanent ice house, the color of your jacket is 100% irrelevant to the fish. The shanty itself becomes the giant object on the ice. It blocks the light, creating a massive dark shadow below. Fish will either get used to this new piece of cover or they'll avoid it. What you're wearing inside that dark tent makes zero difference. So, if you're a shanty fisherman, wear whatever you want. This debate doesn't apply to you. Think about the time of day. The golden hours of sunrise and sunset are prime fishing times for a reason. The low-angle light of the sun doesn't penetrate the water as directly. It creates long shadows and a softer, more diffuse light underwater. During these periods, your profile is less distinct and your clothing color is less of a factor. Contrast this with high noon on a clear day, when the sun is directly overhead. This is when you are most visible, and when your bright clothing will have the most negative impact. We focused on jackets, but what about the rest of your gear? A brightly colored 5-gallon bucket, a neon green scoop, a shiny, reflective propane tank. All of these things, sitting on the ice around your hole, contribute to the picture you're painting for the fish below. An angler surrounded by a yard sale of colorful gear is creating a much larger and more distracting footprint than one who keeps their gear consolidated and uses equipment in more natural or muted colors. Now let's talk about movement. This might be more important than color. A stationary bright object might eventually be ignored by fish, but a bright object that is constantly moving, standing up, sitting down, walking around, that's a confirmed threat. If you are going to wear bright colors, it becomes even more critical to be still and methodical in your movements. Pick your spot, drill your holes, get set up, and then try to stay put. Constant jerky movements are a universal signal for danger in the animal kingdom. There's also the human factor to consider. Confidence is a huge part of fishing. If you believe your bright jacket is spooking fish, you're going to fish less confidently. You'll second-guess your spot, your lure, everything. Conversely, if you feel that your muted gear gives you an edge, you'll fish with more focus and patience, which almost always leads to better results. Sometimes the most important impact of your clothing color is on your own mindset, not on the fish's. So, what's a practical solution? You don't need to throw out your expensive high-vis winter suit. The answer is layering. Use that bright suit to get to your spot safely, but pack a lightweight, drab or white outer shell, a simple windbreaker, or a cheap camouflage pullover. Once you're set up, you can slip that over your bright gear. This gives you the best of both worlds, safety when you're moving and stealth when you're fishing. It's a simple, cheap solution. Let's consider an alternative perspective. Could bright colors ever attract fish? Some anglers have experimented with this. In very specific situations, a flash of color might pique the curiosity of aggressive, predatory fish like pike. However, for most target species like wary walleye, perch, and crappie, the consensus is that unnatural colors are a deterrent, not an attractant. It's a high-risk, low-reward strategy that is probably not worth trying on a tough day. Don't forget the noise and vibration you create, the sound of your boots on clear ice, the scraping of your sled, and especially the roar of your auger are far more likely to spook fish than your jacket color in many situations. If you're stomping around like a herd of elephants and then worrying about your orange hat, you're focusing on the wrong problem. Stealth is a total package. It's about being quiet, moving slow, and reducing your visual footprint. Let's look at the gear the pros use. Watch any professional ice fishing tournament or television show. You'll see a mix. Some anglers are covered head to toe in the logos and bright colors of their sponsors. Others, particularly those fishing shallow and clear water, will often opt for more subdued tones. Their choice of clothing is often dictated by the specific conditions of the day. They adapt. This tells us that there's no single right answer, only the right answer for a given situation. Think about the ice itself again. Old, cloudy ice with layers of frozen and thawed snow acts just like a thick snow cover. It's a great light diffuser. This white ice is an angler's best friend when it comes to stealth. It lets you get away with a lot more. More movement, more noise, and yes, brighter colors. Always pay attention to the condition of the ice itself. It will tell you how careful you need to be. It dictates the rules of the day. So, let's put it all together. The final verdict isn't a simple yes or no. It's a big fat it depends. The impact of your bright clothing is a sliding scale. On one end, you have shallow, clear water and clear black ice. Here, your jacket color is a massive factor and can absolutely be the reason you're not getting bites. On the other end, you have deep water with a thick cover of snow and cloudy ice. Here, your jacket color is almost completely meaningless. The skill is learning to read the conditions and adjust your approach accordingly. So there you have it. The age-old question doesn't have a simple answer, but the real takeaway, the what to povorot moment, is that you don't have to choose between being safe and being stealthy. It's not a one or the other choice. By simply adding a lightweight muted shell jacket to your gear, you can have high visibility safety for travel and complete stealth when you're actively fishing over a hole. It's such a simple fix for a problem that has caused arguments for generations. This one small change in your approach, knowing when to cover up, could genuinely be the key that unlocks those tough high-pressure days on clear ice. Thank you so much for watching. If this gave you a new perspective, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, for the real debate, I want to know your thoughts in the comments. What's the one old-timers rule you absolutely swear by? Or which one do you think is complete and utter nonsense? Let's get it started down below.